Humans are tricksy little things, and most of us are pretty skilled at avoiding listening. Not only are there these barriers preventing us from listening, but we also do a heap of other things when we're supposed to be listening. These are called non-listening behaviours. So what do we do instead of listen? There are a few ways that we can engage in non-listening, and today we're going to talk about 6 different types: pseudo-listening, monopolising, selective listening, defensive listening, ambushing, and literal listening. Pseudo-listening is basically when we pretend to listen, but we're not really. We may be there in body and we may even be nodding, but we're not paying attention. A common example of this is playing on our phones or checking our social media when we're talking to our friends or our parents or our partners, or even ostensibly watching a lecture online. There is heaps of evidence to show that we are not good multitaskers, even if we think we are. And when we're distracted, we find it harder to take in information.
So I said to him, if you think we are going to SeaWorld instead of Dreamworld, you have another think coming, Phil. I'm not driving all the way to the Gold Coast just to go to bloody SeaWorld. Movie World, maybe. Outback Spectacular, at an absolute pinch. But I said to him, if you want to do that, it's Dreamworld, mate.
Yep. Hot.
Monopolising happens when we focus any conversation continually on ourselves rather than our conversational partner. I remember this one time I'd matched with this guy and we went for a date to the Ree. So I got really dressed up, I was excited and showed up and we sat down, and he launched into what can only be described as a monologue for an hour. Practically without taking a breath, he talked to me about himself, his life, his inner world. At no single point did he stop to ask a question about me or indicate in any way that he thought I had an inner world or thoughts or opinions that might interest him. We're married now, obviously. Oh no, wait, we're not. We had to have that stupid, awkward text conversation and then never saw each other again, because when someone talks at you rather than with you, you feel disposable, and it signals, whether intentionally or not, their lack of interest. We can also monopolise a conversation by diverting, using tricks and verbal gymnastics to turn the conversation back to ourselves.
I don't know about you, but I'm really struggling today. It just feels like work and life is,
I actually am feeling fine, which is such a surprise because I'm really overworked. The boss puts a lot of faith in me, and even though that's good, it can be really exhausting.
Yeah, no, she really does. And, it's great that you're getting the recognition for it. You work really hard. And what I'm trying to say is that, it's just been a rough week for me. And on top of everything, I had a flat tire yesterday. And
Oh my God! Speaking of which, I am thinking of getting a scooter. I actually really fancy myself on a Vespa. You can imagine me all over St. Lucia, up and down Carmody Road. Maybe I could even nip over to West End.
That's awesome. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it just all feels a little too much for me. Sorry.
Oh, Tim, you think you have problems? Honestly, I have told you just how demanding Phil is being at the moment. I've got to go. I've got things to do.
The problem is that so often our own thoughts and feelings really feel that much more important than what others are saying, but very often they're not. To actually take part in a two-way conversation, we need to pause and let the other person speak. Selective listening is another form of listening, and it occurs when we only pick up a tiny bit of the conversation. We often do this because we're motivated to hear what we want to hear. For example, if you want to pick a fight with someone, you maybe pick out just one little bit of their conversation that's offensive, or maybe you only listen to the content in sentences that you find interesting. Selective listening, again, prevents us from really hearing people. Defensive listening is really listening with an ear out for attacks, criticism, hostility, anything mean.
Hey, Tim. You think I was in the right? Phil was being pretty demanding.
Sounds like he was being too demanding, but, the man's doing his best.
What, Phil? You think he's trying his best? Jesus Christ, you think I'm in the wrong here?
No,
You think I'm the bad guy in this? Do you feel sorry for Phil? My God, Tim, you shouldn't feel sorry for Phil. You should feel sorry for those orcas swimming around in their tiny cages. We're not going to SeaWorld, Phil. It's Dreamworld or nothing.
Defensive listeners are always willing to take offence, irrespective of what they're being offered. This phenomenon is visited multiple times in this course. Ambushing is another form of non-listening. That's basically not listening to hear, but listening to find weak spots in people's arguments. So, for example, have you talked to someone and you really disagree with their point of view and you want to convince them that you're right? When you're listening to them, you're probably listening for flaws or holes in their argument than really trying to get where they're coming from. Finally, there's literal listening. Okay, so if we just focus on the emotional tone of a conversation or a sentence and ignore the words, we can get things wrong. But the reverse is true too. If we listen to people without attending to the emotion that they're trying to convey, we often fundamentally get their message wrong.
How you going, Tim?
Fine.
Oh, great to hear.
So what does all this mean? Basically, listening is sort of like running an obstacle course. It requires persistence, and there are heaps of barriers getting in your way. There are like monkey bars and tires and things you have to jump over and duck under. And then, to avoid doing it, there are a suite of techniques that we use to get out of listening. But this cannot be where it ends. We need to look that stupid obstacle course square in its awful face and become ninja warriors. We need to engage purposefully and effortfully in the art of becoming a good listener.